Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 13th at 7 o'clock. I'm Tracey McCain.
And I'm Caitlin Nuclo. You're watching Eyewitness News here on the Wax. A lot to talk about. But first, let's get the check on that forecast. Say hello to meteorologist Jill Gilardi with the details on a beautiful first alert forecast for us.
It is. It feels refreshing out there. So you know that when it's a cooler start, you don't have muggy air in place. All right.
We love that.
Yeah. I'm all about not sweating in 2 seconds stepping outside. That's, yeah. Spent plenty of time in the south where that happened every single day in the summer. At least we get some cold fronts up here in the north. That is always nice. And we've had a nice stretch of days, minus the downpours that some of you may have experienced yesterday. But it is bright, sunny, dry weather to start off the morning hours. 61 in Chester, also Hartford, 57 though in Torrington. So we are still enjoying some 50s. And as we take a look at the forecast the next 6 hours, those 50s and 60s eventually warming into the 70s by 9-10 o'clock in the morning hours. Approaching lunchtime, maybe eating outside, it'll be 77 degrees roughly and partly sunny skies, but dry weather expected today. Highs ranging from the upper 70s across the hills to lower 80s elsewhere. So beautiful weather today. Some changes though to the first alert 7-day forecast. I'll talk more about that coming up here a little bit later. Let's send it over to Caitlin now for an update on traffic.
All right, thanks, Jill. 7:02 on the dot. If you're heading out the door right now, typical delays down through Fairfield County, 95 southbound. New Haven to the George Washington Bridge. The Parkway also backing up. Again, very normal, but you can see here 84 eastbound Waterbury to Hartford. This 33-minute ride, that's normal for this time of morning. No real substantial delays. And then Hartford to New Haven on 91, looking good. However, we do have a couple of issues out there. First alert here. This is in Simsbury. So we just got an update from Simsbury Police. Route 189 closed between Elm Street in Terriffill and Hatchet Hill Road in East Granby due to a crash on Route 189 and Main Street, again in the Terriffill section of Simsbury. So we do have a crew on the way to the scene, so we're going to bring you some updates as soon as we get them in here to the traffic department in the newsroom. Also dealing with a road closure in Mansfield. DOT is reporting that there's a tree down here through the area. Route 32 closed between Old Kent and Cider Mill Roads. If you could flip the prompter for me, please, so that I can see, that would be really helpful. And then here's a live look outside here in Hartford, Waterbury, Middletown, and in Meriden as you are getting ready to head out the door. Majority of the state looks just like this. If you're traveling on any of those major interstates or roadways, nice and calm conditions out there, bright sunshine. Grab the sunglasses as you're heading out the door. And again, we'll get you an update on that incident in Simsbury coming up as soon as it comes in here to the newsroom. I'm Caitlin Francis with your Connecticut Chevy First Alert Traffic Report, driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealers.
All right, Caitlin, thank you. Well, happening right now, polls are open for Connecticut's primary election, but there are some things that you need to know before you head out the door.
Yeah, let's get right over to Channel 3's Marcy Jones, who is live at a polling location to tell us what we need to know.
Well, we know that heading into today, more than 8,000 folks have cast their ballots by way of early voting, but that's just a fraction of the 2.2 million registered party voters in the state. Now, because Connecticut has closed primaries, only folks registered with either the Democratic or Republican parties will be able to participate today. The Secretary of State's office says from July 21st to August 11th, more than 13,000 people signed up to vote for the very first time in Connecticut. On the ballots are offices such as U.S. Senate, State House of Representatives, and probate judge. A few key things to remember. Voters need proof of address but do not need a driver's license to be able to vote. You must be registered as either a Democrat or Republican to vote today. And for more details, including on how exactly to find your polling site, visit myvote.ct.gov. Again, polls are already open. They will remain open until 8 tonight. And make sure you have that proof of address if you are a registered Democrat or Republican in order to vote. In Hartford, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, in the last several days, there's been a string of motorcycle crashes across the state, and the latest one just happened last night in West Hartford.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Schuler is breaking down what happened and what could be driving this trend.
Over an hour ago, we learned that Monday night's crash in New Hartford is deadly. Now, 31-year-old Robert Holcomb of Unionville died after losing control of his motorcycle and hitting a guardrail. Now, that wreck happened after 5 p.m. Monday on Route 44, New Hartford. That's right near the Farmington River tubing area. Police are still trying to figure out what made him lose control. Later last night, another crash involving a motorcycle in West Hartford. This morning, Fern Street has reopened after a crash involving a van and a motorcycle. This wreck also happened Monday evening. The driver of the motorcycle is in the hospital this morning, and the driver of the car is doing okay. Now, this follows a recent trend. This past weekend, Morris, Winstead, Vernon, and West Hartford all recorded motorcycle accidents. According to the Institute of Insurance for Highway Safety, August is the most dangerous month for motorcyclists. This could be due to the nice weather experienced in the summertime. Data also shows motorcyclists are 4 times more likely to be injured in an accident. A reminder to drivers to be cautious and alert while driving on the road. Right now in the state of Connecticut, there is only a law that requires motorcyclists under the age of 18 to wear a helmet. However, it is a good idea for anyone that drives a motorcycle to wear a helmet to lower your risk of head injury. In West Hartford, Olivia Schuler, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, new this morning, we've learned the woman convicted of murdering her husband at their home in Burlington killed herself.
Last month, investigators found Linda Kasuda Bagazi dead inside of her home just hours before she was set to be sentenced for murdering her husband back in 2017.
He was a professor at UConn, and his wife collected his checks for months, police say, before they eventually found his body in the basement of the couple's home.
West Haven police are trying to track down the suspect who they say committed multiple crimes. Investigators say this man broke into the Family Dollar store on Captain Thomas Boulevard, as well as a home in the West Walk area. And take a look here. You can see him sliding right under a garage door in one of the cases. If you know anything, call police.
OSHA is investigating after a worker was killed after he fell off of a roof in Clinton. The victim, a 37-year-old man from Connecticut. He died yesterday on Fox Hill Drive. We'll share new information with you as soon as we get an update.
And now to an update on an horrific case of animal cruelty here that we've been following. Woodbridge Animal Control says even more cats have been rescued from a home on Pleasant Hill Road, bringing the total to more than 70 cats, dogs, bunnies, and a guinea pig as well. Investigators warn that there could still be more pets on that property. The rescued animals are being cared for and could be up for adoption soon. There's no word yet, though, on who the suspect is.
Local leaders hope a few big changes will make one of New Haven's busiest roadways a lot safer.
So the hope is that this new project, paid for by state funding, will get drivers to slow down on Foxen Boulevard. The plan is to build several medians that light up, which would hopefully help slow down traffic there and provide better roadway lighting.
The medians would also give people a place to stop when they're crossing the street. City leaders expect to wrap up construction in about a year.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is 7:08. We have several gulls visiting us this morning. We have, of course, Jonathan. We've got Jennifer, Jackie, and Joyce. All right, and I'm Jill, and we are tracking bright conditions this morning, refreshing temperatures. We have low 60s, Hartford and Windsor Locks, 50s, plenty of those on the map too, and transitioning into 70s by 10 o'clock this morning, rising into the low 80s this afternoon, which is normal for this time of year, and some fair weather clouds, but not expecting the downpours like we had yesterday, but they will be returning. I'll let you know when, coming up in less than 10 minutes.
Well, right now, Israeli leaders are on a high alert for a possible Iranian attack that the U.S. warns could come within days.
So the Defense Department is moving more troops into that region right now as President Biden and other world leaders are pushing for peace talks to continue between Israel and Hamas. Channel 3's Jared Hill has the details.
Tensions are high in the Middle East as the U.S. says Iran or its proxies could strike Israel as soon as this week with little to no warning. The Pentagon is rushing a guided missile submarine and the USS Lincoln Strike Group to the region in hopes of deterring all-out war after Iran vowed to avenge the recent assassinations of Hamas and Hezbollah leaders.
We are committed to helping Israel defend itself, but at the same time, we continue to work diplomatically to prevent any major escalation of this conflict.
Yesterday, President Biden joined a call with the leaders of the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Italy, during which the group urged Iran to stand down on its threats of a military attack and discussed serious consequences should an attack occur. Israeli defense leaders say its forces are at peak preparedness for an attack. The country's former prime minister also warning Iran to think twice.
If there is a war between Israel and Iran, it's going to be a war between Iran and the United States of America, and Great Britain, and France, and maybe other European countries, and Israel.
The U.S. and its allies are also continuing to push for a ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas as Israeli forces continue operations in southern Gaza. So far, only Israel has committed to sending a delegation with negotiations set to resume Thursday, though an attack from Iran could disrupt those talks. Jared Hill, CBS News.
We're also tracking some developing international news involving the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Channel 3's Roger Susanin is at the First Alert desk with more details. Good morning, Roger.
Tracy, Caitlin, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has now confirmed that Ukrainian troops have pushed farther into Russia in a border crossing attack that appears to have even caught the Kremlin off guard. Now, Zelensky says it's all part of a strategy to pressure the aggressor. Ukraine has repeatedly targeted the border region of Belgorod with airstrikes, but troops on the ground have also made major progress this morning. The series of attacks even surprised Ukrainian allies. Now, Ukrainian leaders say at this point they control more than 300 miles of land in Russia, although it's important to note that the Kremlin claims those reports are exaggerated. But Russian President Vladimir Putin has acknowledged the invasion. He says it's a strategy by Ukraine to improve their leverage before possible peace talks. We're going to continue to track this developing story on air and on the WFSB News app. Live at the First Alert desk, I'm Roger Susanin. Caitlin, back to you.
All right, Roger, thank you.